Hello all, and let's try this a second time because I got interrupted. Not that any of you will ever know that, but let's get started. So if you see the title, this is going to be about Death Before Dishonor, but which I said I was going to do. But it will also be like an overall thing about ROH because I don't think I've really ever done that. And if you follow me on Twitter, you probably only see like one thing because really, all I really talk about on like Twitter when it comes to Ring of Honor is how well it's booked, and it's really sad that like no one watches it because it is. It has. This show was not the case, but by and large, since I would say probably last year's, it looked like not probably going on 2 years now, and you have to take part of that out because of the pandemic. But it looked like they were going somewhere like 2 years ago, and then the pandemic happened, and then they did pretty much probably what they should have done, which was they closed everything down. They, then they went with no fans. They tried to take care of everyone. Doing that, they were only able to use like a small select group of people, but the booking was really good, and out of that we got the pure title tournament and the pure title with Gresham and all of that, and it was really good. And then they're like the last ones to kind of get away from not having fans, and that's hurt, and it's super cold because they don't have like anyone to really draw you in. They had Roosh, but Roosh isn't for everyone. Bandito, Dragon Lee, all of this stuff, but I think it says a lot that you have New Japan, and New Japan decided to do New Japan Strong instead of working with Ring of Honor, and it was evident they were going to do that before even the pandemic that they were going to do that. When you have Ring of Honor, who was in more outlets, could be seen by more people, would be better exposure for your people, and they basically were like, we're going to do our own thing. I think that says a lot about like the current, like a lot about Ring of Honor itself, but I do think Ring of Honor is very well booked. They just don't have like anyone to draw you in. I think Gresham could be that guy. I think Brody King could be that guy. But really, those are the only two, and I'll talk about that as we like go along here, and we talk about the pay-per-view. But they are definitely missing a lot, and they've been missing a lot for a while. The whole debacle with the Elite leaving, forming AEW, where AEW is I think everyone would agree is what Ring of Honor should have been and wasn't. So you have all of that, and in a lot of ways Ring of Honor has continually like fallen behind. I would say they're even in a lot of ways they're behind Impact. Part of that is because they haven't done the Forbidden Door, though if you watch this pay-per-view they seemed far more open to do so. But you don't know all of the deals with that. So there was that too. So I enjoy Ring of Honor. I think it's a good 1 hour show. I think often they have like some of the best wrestling on. The commentary is really good. There's lots like the booking is usually absolutely solid. I think it's one of the best booked shows there is. They just have no like star power, and you have to have star power. I mean, that's one of the big things in pro wrestling. You can't just have like good matches. As much as people think that, but in the heyday of Ring of Honor, you had people who people at least saw as stars, and I don't think you have that in Ring of Honor right now, and that's the bad part of the booking. But as far as storylines and as far as things progressing and as far as things making sense, it's probably one of, if not, it's probably the best of the major promotions out there that are like that. It doesn't get the credit for it because nobody watches it, and it's super cold, and they need to do something to kind of spice it up. What that is, there's a lot of things you could do. You don't know what's out of their hands, what's in their hands, but we can go over that as we go over kind of this show and kind of how everything kind of played out. So, we had the the hour one, the pre-show, whatever you want to call it. And if you want to watch this, I believe this is free on Fight TV, so you can just go to Fight and watch it. And then the main show is, of course, its own thing. I did think overall the show was really good. There was nothing bad. Like, there was nothing, I would say, even maybe okay on this show. Everything was good, but I don't think there was anything great on this show either, and it was very underwhelming. And I think one of the things that Ring of Honor definitely needs to do, and I think at one point, I think Impact is in the same boat, and I think that whenever you have like two companies that are so far ahead, and then when you throw New Japan in there, and we'll see where New Japan is with the tour they're getting ready to do here in the United States. We'll definitely see where they're at. But when you add all of that together, you can't put on just good shows. You've got to put on great shows to separate yourself. You just have to do that. And I think they have the people to do that, but we just did not get that on this show. But we had what was touted, and this was a mess up without a question. And this is where, like, this show is weird in that, like I said, this has been a very well booked promotion, and this show had a lot of weird stuff on it that either didn't hit, didn't work, wasn't well booked. It was definitely like something weird, like in the air type of thing. Just even though like everything was good, it was a lot of that. But you had what was billed as the 15-man. We then found out during this show it was going to be 16-man. That was a little weird and wonky. But you had lots of there was a lot of storylines weaved into this, and that's kind of what you want in a battle royal or a Royal Rumble or whatever you want to call this. That's what you want. You want a lot of stories weaved into it, and we had that. You had Caprice Coleman coming out to take on the Bear City Bruisers. You had the whole story of there was some cheeseburger stuff. There was some Silas Young stuff. There was some Flip Gordon stuff. The PCO in the sense of the PCO storyline kind of made sense. It was you have Brian Johnson who his whole story in this, which was which was told really well. And then of course we had the returning / debuting Alex Zane, who won, which they set up really well because they even hinted it. They threw it in there that he had beaten Bandito when he was last in here. Bandito was the current champion. Kind of foreshadowed what was going to happen later. But this was good. I wouldn't call it great. I wouldn't say, oh my God, go out of your way and see it. But if you follow the show, there was a lot of stuff in here, which is what you want to see. I would say that there was a lot of questionable booking after this, but this I thought was well done, pretty well booked. Nothing, like I said, nothing horrible, but nothing great either. It just was kind of there. But for a pre-show match, I think it did kind of serve its purpose, so I will say that. And then the show started. The first is Dalton Castle versus Eli Easom. This was good. I wouldn't call it great. You can still tell that Dalton Castle is still not what he once was. Eli Easom is good. And can have really good matches, but the match was just kind of and then we had a I don't want to say a fuck finish because it really wasn't, but it was still like an interference finish, and you need you can't bury your head down and just not pay attention to what everyone else is doing, right? AEW does too many interference finishes. WWE definitely does too many interference finishes. I don't watch Impact, so I couldn't tell you what Impact does. New Japan definitely does way too much of this stuff. So you cannot do this stuff. That is a big, and we had that pretty much a lot of stuff like that on the show. But like I said, it was good. Maybe the weakest match on the show, maybe. But it was still good. Then we had the returning, debuting both guys and Tyler Rust and Jake Atlas. This was going really well, and then something happened to either Jake Atlas. So some people say that maybe he got concussed. I thought maybe he just got lost. I don't know what happened. But the end kind of fell apart. It was still good, I would say, but not blow away, which I think you kind of want with something like this. You want kind of a blow away match with both guys debuting. That's kind of what you want, some excitement. So then that. Then we had a six-man tag team. You had Violence Unlimited taking on John Walters, Lee Moriarty, and LSG. They did note that Lee Moriarty was leaving. He was going to AEW. They talked about that a lot. So, and they, and that they were glad that he was going, and they were happy, and all of this. They made it very, very evident that they weren't holding any grudges whatsoever. This was a lot of fun. It's what a six-man really should be. I wouldn't say it was like blow away. It wasn't great. It was really good. And a lot of fun. And after the match, we had like this segment. This was really weird. So John Walters, Lee Moriarty, and LSG, they were supposed to represent like the pure division and the pure side of the Ring of Honor roster, which has been a growing theme and something that they've talked a lot about. And in a lot of ways, it does feel like maybe that's where they need to go, is just do a whole like Ring of Honor, just do all pure rules all the time sort of thing. I don't know if a lot of people would like that. I think if it would differentiate themselves and it would make them a little bit more interesting, even if that's what they primarily did, I think it would make some sense. So the Foundation came out, with the exception of Jonathan Gresham, and came out, cut a promo, which felt out of place, right? And it was talking up the Pure Division. It was talking up all of this stuff. It felt very like, I don't know, just not, just out of place, really, and just seemed to drag on. It was very weird. It almost felt like they were gonna like turn on Lee Moriarty, and then they didn't. They just congratulated him and said, we wish you were staying here, but pure wrestling, and it felt very weird and out of place. And was just not. It was the first like really weird thing to happen. That was just kind of like right. Then we had Matt Tavin and Mike Bennett taking on the Briscoes. This was really good as well. Probably better than a lot of people probably think. A lot of people kind of forget that Matt Tavin and Mike Bennett, when they were tag teams, even their tag team in New Japan, I think people think of that and they forget that Maria was like such a focus to the New Japan like producers, that they forget that Tavin and Bennett, actually did put on some good stuff. And when they were in Ring of Honor, it was better. And the Briscoes are the Briscoes. Wasn't a blow-away match or anything like that. Was good. Tavin and Bennett won, which I found a little weird given the stories that they had been telling, but we'll kind of see where that goes, I guess. But this was good, and yeah. Then we had Josh Woods and Jonathan Gresham in a pure title match. This, I thought the story they were trying to tell was interesting, but it felt kind of flat at the same time. I could see, I liked it, but I could see a lot of people not liking it. And of course in the pure rules, you get 3 rope breaks, right? Well, all 3 rope breaks came because they were jostling in the ropes, and they weren't listening to the ref, so the ref just kept taking both of their rope breaks away. I think that would have worked good once, maybe twice, but 3 times was a little bit much. We had a false finish where we had a draw, and then Jonathan Gresham was like, no, we're not ending it like that. The move that Joshua did on Jonathan Gresham to lead to the pin was an awesome move. I will say that. And I thought they worked pretty well together. I thought they told a pretty good story. It still wasn't as great as you would have hoped, especially for a 20-minute match. And Gresham lost, which I think was kind of the big shock, which I'm fine with if you're going to push Gresham. towards the ROH titles, I think that then you've kind of achieved something a little bit, but we will see. Then we had the ROH six-man tag team title match. Originally this was supposed to be Dragon Lee, Kenny King, and Roosh, but Roosh is like, hey, I'm getting my knee done, and I will probably never be in Ring of Honor again. So La Bestia replaced him. So this started off kind of weird because Kenny King attacked Shane Taylor before the match in front of the referee, beats him up with a chair. Shane Taylor can't continue, so they replace him with O'Shea Edwards, which is fine. I mean, they've set that up. They even talked about the fact, hey, this isn't unprecedented. We've done this before. It's fine, but it was a little weird. So we get to have a pretty good match. Another pretty good match. You're seeing a thing here. Nothing great. It was just all like good. And at the end, Shane Taylor comes back out, hits Kenny King with a chair. The referee doesn't see it, which leads to the finish. And then we get this weird thing where it looked like maybe Shane Taylor would be going after Dragon Lee, and that would be where Dragon Lee drops his title. It just felt very the end of it just didn't feel like it felt very like, I don't know, confusing, I would say, where you weren't sure quite where it goes. And I like Shane Taylor, the productions. I love that unit. I think it's really good. And it's been a slow burn for that. I would not be shocked if he becomes like a world champion and kind of the fixture point for Ring of Honor at some point. But and that has been one of the main feuds that they've done a really good job with, or the main, like, I would say, storylines that they've done a really good job with. And then we had the women's title tournament finals with Rok-C versus Miranda Alize. This was much better than I thought it was going to be. I went in with very low expectations. They put on a really good match, maybe the match of the night. Still wasn't great, but I think that people didn't have high expectations of this being great, given how like women's wrestling in Ring of Honor normally is. Rok-C won, which was probably the right decision. So for this went for almost 20 minutes, and for a long part of it, it was just Alize beating up Rok-C, which was probably the right thing, given how inexperienced Rok-C is. And she does play a really good babyface, so that was good. The probably last 2 minutes of this match, though, were really, really hot and really, really good, and just brought everything together, and was good stuff. So hats off to both of them. Hopefully this is a good start. I kind of feel like, and I like that we finally have like a women's championship in Ring of Honor. I do feel like, it's like kind of weird, but they did set it up to where Maria came out and was like, hey, anybody that wants to come in here, anyone that wants to take on our champion, come and take on our champion. Let's do this. We are open for all comers. So, like I said, it seems like they're willing to play ball with people, but we will see. Then we had our main event, which was a four-corner survival elimination match for the ROH title, with Brody King, Bandito, Demonic, Flamita, and EC3. If you watch the promos leading up to this, EC3 is so good at this. He's like so good at so much of this, and then he gets in the ring and it's just like, and it kind of sucks, because it's like it gets you up to this point where you really are looking forward to this, and then you realize that you have to go through the match, and the matches are usually long and they're not good. This was another where the booking was very weird. Flamita basically hits him with a chair, but softly, and then EC3 then hits Flamita with a chair, but because the referee apparently saw EC3, then EC3 gets DQ'd in a four-way, which seems really weird. It just came off weird and whatever. That left Bandito and Flamita, teaming up again, and they basically teamed up against Brody King. Lots of good spots, lots of good stuff. Brody King, of course, is really good. The three of them working together was excellent stuff. Eventually, I believe it was Bandito beat Flamita, and then if I remember right, or no, Brody King, right? Yeah, because Brody King pulled out like the move that he normally doesn't normally do, beat Flamita, and then Bandito ended up pinning Brody King, which seemed kind of weird because watching the match, I felt like Brody King seemed like more of the guy, but I know that ROH isn't big; they never have been of switching titles really fast, and Bandito had just won. Like I said, lots of good wrestling, a good solid show. But again, Ring of Honor has to have better than that. And that might not seem fair. I used to say this about TNA back in the day. That might not seem fair, but that's the reality. They have to put on great shows. Their big shows have to be great, and they have to be great all of the time. You just have to. You cannot not do that. And as we go forward, it's pretty clear that probably Dragon Lee, and and Bestia will probably be leaving with Roosh, as they will be going with their other brother to wherever. Maybe they'll wind up still in ROH, but they seem to think that they will be able to go to AEW probably with. My mind is like completely blown. Oh my god. Anyways, they'll probably wind up in ROH or AEW. So yeah, I'm with Andrade, because Andrade, the whole thing, they're all buddies. So that will probably be the case. And they put a lot of stuff into Roosh, and Bandito's contract is probably, I believe, is up at the end of the year too. I know AEW wanted him originally as well. So and he's great. He's amazing. So it just leaves Ring of Honor in a really weird place. And of course, they're not using a lot of the New Japan, even the New Japan Strong guys, which you would think they would probably use, but they're not doing that either. Maybe we'll see that more in the future with them, kind of opening up things a little bit more. I don't know. But like I said, this is a super cold product. If you want to know how cold it is, and I posted this on Twitter too, the fact that it takes like the Grapple app, which lets you pretty much do your stuff and rate matches. It takes them days before they usually put up ROH shows, so that should tell you something. It's sad because they handle things probably the right way, but even coming out of it, they just haven't been able to like pick up any steam. They haven't been able to really do anything. And they just don't have like enough star power. I think Shane Taylor could be that guy. I think Brody King could be that guy. I definitely think Jonathan Gresham could be that guy too. But we're just not there yet, unfortunately. So not a show I would say you definitely need to see. It's a show that if you're looking for something good to watch, maybe watch it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got on that. So anyways, look for me back on Friday. I probably will do a live stream on Friday. I will post something at some point. I will put my Twitter handle in the description as always, along with the ratings and everything else that I always put in the description. So with that, I am out. Later.